Alright, welcome back to another episode of how to beat, well, not how to beat, but how to properly play Ultimate X Double Bonus. We'll run by some more strategy tonight and see how we do. Pair of sixes. Let's see here, three to the flush. Since we have that 9 of spades interference, that's going to bump up the value of when we drop the 3 of the extra 2 spades there with the jack and go for just the jack. But in our case, because we do have the 9 flush interference and straight interference there, bumps it up quite a bit. So here's one of those hands we talked about before. This is the, because the flush pays 30, and gives a 10x multiplier on this, you go for the double inside straight flush over the inside straight. Let's see, yeah, there's nothing else, just the double inside straight flush here. You don't go for the inside straight ever in this game, and that you always go for the double inside straight flush over that. Pair of threes. Pair of queens. Again, a pair of queens. Ace queen suited. Alright, king queen 4 suited. You have 3 to the flush, but you also have 9-10. 9-10, you don't go for the inside straight here ever, because you have straight interference and flush interference. 9-10 bumps up the multiplier sum to 65 here, so it'd be 65 before you would go for the before you would drop that 4 of spades. Pair of jacks. Pair of eights. Pair of fours. Oh, that's nice. Got some quads times 4. Right on. Again, both because the ace has a flush penalty here. Some twos. Some aces. Some sevens. Nothing really too out there yet. Just the ace here. Ace jack suited. Pair of kings. King queen offsuit. Pair of kings. Jack queen. Always over the ace, double bonus. Jack queen suited. You will never keep the 10 here because the jack queen are suited unless you had like an open-ended straight or something. Or if there was an ace. There are some odd penalties. Here's a good example of a weird hand. We can talk about this one. Queen 10 suited versus 8-9 for a straight. Looking for the jack here. So let's go over and check this one out. So because you have queen 10 suited but you also have an inside straight, you do go for the inside straight up to, I believe it's 49 on this one. We'll just double check it. And yes. Nope. Sorry. Nope, it's a little less than that. Where's this cutoff here? Is it 40? 43? Nope. Where's our cutoff here? It's at 41. So at 41, we would drop the 8-9 and just go for the queen 10 suited over the straight. But because the straight obviously gives us an 8x multiplier, and we have low multiplier sum, we're going to go for that inside straight. King jacks off suit. Pair of fives. 2 pair, always keep 2 pair and double bonus. Pair of queens, at least we're not losing on this hand. 4 to the flush, can we do better than 2? Yes, we can. Just the ace. Going to be hard to improve on that hand. Pair of twos. Pair of tens. Just the king here. Open end straight. Always keeping the open end straight. Didn't feel straight, but that was the play. Pair of tens. Pair of threes. Pair of sixes. Just the queen here. Yep. Wow. Alright, so this one is ace. So we'll talk about it a little bit. Oops, let's switch that. There we go. So Jack, King, 5, Ace 2. King 5, Ace 2. So this would be Jack, King at 50 because of the ace. As you can see, we drop the 5 of diamonds and go for the Jack, King suited at 50 because the ace is straight interference on this. If there was another high card, let's say the high card that wasn't an ace, let's say it was the queen, this would bump this up to 68. You'd go for Jack, King. But because we have the ace, we're going to keep this 3 to the flush up until a multiplier sum of 50. Again, because we have flush interference, the flush pays, it pays 30 on this one, and you have a shot of a 10x multiplier. And you can still fill jacks or better. 3 of a kind. Pair of 8s. Pair of 5s. Queen, Jack. Pair of 6s. Again, keeping them both. Flush penalty to that ace. Just the queen here. 8s again. 2 pair. Again, always keeping 2 pair. We don't. This time we don't have a flush penalty to ace, but we do have 2-4, which is straight interference, and we have a 6. Because we have 2 cards close to ace and there is no 5, this would be ace at 69 multiplier sum. Because there is no 5. If there was a 5, let's say we had 2-4, let's say we had 2-5-6, that would be 65. If we had 2-4-5, we would go for the straight, obviously, or 2-3-5, etc. We'd go for the inside straight until 41, and then we would go for, I believe it's at 101 and then 109, somewhere around there for 2-4-5 or 2-3-5. If ace did not have a flush penalty, we can demonstrate that one as well briefly. We've talked a little bit about these hands, but we can kind of go over it again really quick. So we'll just go king, ace, 2-4, and then 6. We're keeping them both, even though we don't have a flush penalty, like I said. But at 69, we would deviate and just go for only the ace, and that's because we don't have the flush penalty. If we were to go back and say we did, like I said, 2-4-5, like we had the straight, so now we have a straight up until 41, then we would keep both the king and the ace at 41. And then I believe this is 101. You would go for just the ace. We'll double check that. I believe it's 101. Yes, it's 101. If this became a 3, though, I believe it goes up to 109. Yep. And again, this is because of the cards because of the straight interference. So the cards closest to ace dictate how much higher up you will keep that until your multipliers get higher. So if you have a lot of cards close to ace, you're probably keeping ace, king quite a ways. Essentially, it's all you have to know. The further the cards get away from them, then it becomes the opposite. The sooner you will go for just ace, if that makes any sense. It's all about straight interference, low straight interference. Again, keeping them both because we had interference with the flush on that. Okay. We've talked about this one a little bit. We'll talk about it again. You have a pair of 6s, or you have 6, 7, 8, 9. You have an open-end straight or a pair of 6s. Play on this, The play on this is the open-ended straight because our multipliers are too low. If I go ahead and punch it in, you'll see. And you'll see our multiplier is 2, 4, 6, 10, 18. Maybe at 23. Yeah, well, I believe at 23 there. So at 23, you can see we're still keeping that open-ended straight. But at 76, we would drop it and go for the sixes. The reason that is because the sixes don't have as much value as the straight does, because the sixes don't pay as good as, well, the 8x multiplier, plus we have an open-ended straight, so we have 2 chances to fill it. We have a bunch of chances to fill that open-ended straight, low multipliers, and the straight paying 20. Because, and also them being sixes, only paying 250 if you get quads. It's not really, the game is weighing it based on the multiplier return on the next hand. So if it was 2s, 3s, or 4s, the same hand would apply, but you would go for it at 29 because 2, 3s, or 4s pay better, if that makes any sense. So it's a balance of the multiplier versus the payback. And again, straights usually come in pairs, because that's my experience. We talked about this hand again a little bit before. This is now King Ace with a third penalty card. The reason why you keep this, you have a 10 interference here. This bumps it up to 101 before you would drop the 8 of spades. King Ace has a large gap. That's why you're keeping it, because you have 10. We have straight interference from the 10. That's why you bump it up to 101. But King Ace has such a wide gap that's also partially why. Well, I would say it has a wide gap. It's just hard to fill because it's at the end of the spectrum. Any ace, king, ace, jack, ace, queen combination is the similar play for this with the third flush penalty. So whether we had king, ace, king, queen, king, ace, ace, queen, or ace, jack, and you had that 8, they would all be the same play if you had the 10 in the hand. It would be 101. If you didn't have the 10 and it was cards below 10, then it would be 72. If you had another high card, let's say the 10 was a jack in this hand, you would always keep this 3 to the flush, because now you have straight interference, bigger straight interference. So, and again, it's all based around the multipliers. Straight flush, no gaps. That's always the play. There's one exception to that rule. We'll talk about that if that hand comes up, but it's basically 2, 3, 4. If you have like 2, 3, 4 is the only straight flush no gap that does not beat. Well, we'll just demonstrate it real quick. We're talking about it. Let's just demonstrate it. So like 2, 3, 4, right? And we'll put jack queen, jack king, doesn't matter, suited, right? So 2, 3, 4 never beats this combination. But watch what happens if we go 3, 4, 5. Always. Doesn't matter if it's jack queen. It doesn't matter if it's jack. It doesn't matter if it's any suited high card combination. It doesn't matter if 2 suited high cards never beat a no gap straight flush unless it's 2, 3, 4. Period. It does not matter. Every other combination other than 2, 3, 4. So again, like I said, it doesn't matter. It could be king ace. It doesn't matter. Jack queen is the strongest, and as you can see, it doesn't matter. It always will beat it. Whoops. Always will beat that if it's no gaps. So unless it's 2, 3, 4, that's the one rule to the exception. Here we go. We talked about this a little bit before. We have a 3 to the flush with the ace, and we have ace. We have ace 3 to the flush, and we have queen offsuit. Because ace has flush interference, we will always be keeping both ace and queen offsuit in this hand at a multiplier sum of 31 and above. We talked about this a little bit a couple videos ago. Some 2s. So this is an interesting hand. We have a double inside straight flush. We have straight interference with the double inside straight flush, and we have a king. King is the worst offender, has the lowest value per se against these double inside straight flush draws. But because there is a penalty card inside of it, the 5, because we need 3, 5 to fill it, and there's no like 9 or 10 straight interference with king, and there's no flush penalty to the king, we're going to go for just the king in this hand. The multipliers are too high. If the multipliers were really, really low on this hand, you would actually go for the double inside straight flush. But I believe they'd have to be like 12 or 11. They'd have to be extremely low. We'll demonstrate it really quickly. So 2, 4, 6, 5, and the king. So at 10 multiplier sum, meaning we have no multipliers, we'll go for it. Let's see when we don't go for it. So at 13, so it was very low. So at 13 and above, we would go for the king. And again, that's because the king doesn't have a flush penalty, and the 5 is inside the 2, 4, 6. If this king, let's flush penalty the king, and we'll see that this number goes up. Now the flush penalty has a king, but we still have straight interference with the 5. You can see this bumps this up a little bit now. So then at a sum of 18, you would then go for the king. But watch what happens if, let's say we didn't have a flush penalty or a straight interference penalty. Let's put a 7 in there and no flush penalty. Look at how much this gets bumped up before we go for that king. I believe it's around 35. Yeah. So at 35, then you would go for the king. But watch what happens if we flush penalty the king again with that 7 and there's no interference. Look how high up this play goes. And look at this. We're at 50. Still going for that double inside straight flush. It gets up there quite a ways before you actually go for just the king. So it looks like it's at 52. So at 52. So you can see these double inside straight flush versus one high card. It's really dependent on, it's really heavy dependent on the high card itself, whether it's ace or jack, queen or king. Each one has a different value. But it also then comes down to, do you have straight interference with the double inside straight flush? And do you have a flush penalty? So you have to look at, does your high card have a flush penalty? And do you also have straight interference in your double inside straight flush? Very complicated hands to look at here. These are the hands that make this game extremely complicated. Pair of jacks there. This would be, we would drop the 5 at 32. And we're at 11, 15, 17, 19, 21. We're only at 25, so we'll keep on that 5 there. Pair of aces. Pair of 7s. Sometimes that's one of those hands that kind of throws me off. Sometimes I want to go jack, queen, 8, 10 here and go for that straight, but obviously you want to go for this straight because you have more high cards, so more possibilities for a jacks are better. Don't be like me and have dyslexia and see things that aren't there. Jack ace suited. Jack king suited. Pair of 3s. Ace jack suited. Pair of 5s. Open-ended straight over the high card, always over one high card. Again, this is that play we talked about earlier with the 10. This is 101 before you would drop that 2 of spades. Or clubs, I'm sorry. Just the queen here. Pair of kings. Nope, nothing there. Just the ace. I'm kind of on a dry spell right now. Wow. Speaking of being on a dry spell, just blanking on a pair of 7s. Pair of 6s. 2 pair. See if we can turn this around ever since we got those quads kind of going the other way there. Pair of 9s. Just the king. You can go for an inside straight both ways here. I'm going to go this way. The reason I'm going this way is because, well, I guess it doesn't really matter because you can go other way. You can go 4, 5, 6, 8. You can go 5, 6, 8, 9. It doesn't matter. I like to usually keep the two suited cards together when I go for it. The more suited cards in the inside straight is how I play it usually, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, either way is correct technically, so it doesn't really matter. I just find that keeping the most high cards in the inside straight, or not the most suited cards, I'm sorry, inside straight helps too. Seems like it yields a better result. Again, that's probably not true. It's just, just what I see. Here's another one. So this is both at 39. Ace 10 penalty, the worst penalty we've talked about you can have. So this bumps the value up to 39 when you would go for both cards. We're still low enough that we're going to go for the 3 to the flush over Ace King here. If the Ace 10 penalty didn't exist there, then we would have gone for Ace at 35. And just the Ace. Pair of threes. We did talk about that one a little bit before. Got an inside straight there. Again, Jack Queen here. They're not suited, so you go for that. 3 to the royal. Can we do it? No, we cannot. Queen 10 suited. There we go, we got one. I was hoping we were going to get one. Open end straight. This time we got one of those. Pair of sevens. There we go, that's a setup. Now, can we do anything with this? Wait for the RNG. Wait for it. Come on, aces. And nope. Let's see. 5, 6, 8, 10, 3, 5. Nope, we got nothing there. So this is very close to being one of those hands, but it's not. This is the ace. We do have an inside straight flush there, and we do have all the we have 2 out of 3 prerequisites. The only thing that's missing here is that 2x multiplier that's on the screen. We didn't ever talk about this one, but we'll talk about it now because we have an opportunity to kind of talk about it. So this is one of the scenarios. Ace and Jack have the same structure. You need 3 prerequisites before you will go for a inside straight over that one high card. You need 3. You have to have 2 cards that have that pose straight interference to your high card, because we have 3, 5 up there. You have to have also a flush penalty, which we do with the 7 of hearts. And you have to have 0 multiplier sum, just 10, no multipliers, nothing. We have 2 out of 3, but because this is a perfect example to talk about it, because we haven't talked about this one yet, this is a great time to bring it up. So here you go. This is the exact same hand we have. As you can see, at no multiplier sum, and the 2 with the flush penalty 7 hearts, no multipliers, and we have straight interference from the 3 and 5, you would actually go for that. But again, we have a multiplier sum of 11, so we're going for the ace. But as you can see, it's a difference of just 1 multiplier going for it or not. But again, you have to have 3 prerequisites to do that. Can we get 2? We'll take 3. Can we get 2? We got 3 again, and we got them where they matter. Can we get 2? We got 2. 7s. 1, 2. Nice, got it right where we wanted it to. Send it. Alright, just the queen. We're going to spin up these multipliers, and I guess we'll continue again next time. I think that's a good place to end it for today. Again, we'll see you next time. As time permits, we'll keep making these videos. I'll see you guys next week, or maybe later this week.